Hello everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell, and we are bored of it. And welcome to our top 10 games of 2024 video.
Woo.
Very exciting. Always enjoy doing this every year.
It's always good. And we just agreed it was really easy this year. So I don't know what that
Easier
says.
than usual.
I don't know what that says about the year of gaming this
Yeah.
year. But usual disclaimers that these games might not be from 2024. In fact, some of them definitely aren't. They're from like 20 years ago. Spoilers.
Spoiler.
And that is because release schedules can be weird, but also it's our list and it's games we experienced for the first time this year. So that's how we're doing it. With that, I think we have some honorable mentions. But before we get into those, please, if you enjoy this, if it was helpful, consider subscribing, help us grow the channel. That's pretty much all we ask for. No Patreon, no anything like that. Just subscribe and watch the videos. Yeah?
Yeah.
Who should start?
You.
Ooh, that was very commanding. Okay, so honorable mentions. So yeah, we were talking about doing our top 10, and it was quite easy. Like I slammed in my top 3 immediately, almost in the right order exactly. But 9, 10 honorable mentions, that's where it got really tough. So I think these are some great games that I've just missed. I think 1 or 2 of them were in at number 10 originally and then got knocked out. So I think probably the one that wouldn't have made it to number 10, let's start with that, is Ironwood.
Okay.
And Ironwood is a 2-player head-to-head game. We just did a review of it very recently. It's a very, very intense, very brutal, like you versus the other person. Really in each other's face. Everything they do annoys you.
I'm getting like a little bit stressed even thinking about it, but also good game.
One of those. And that just missed it out. And also I should say that like always, neither of us knows each other's picks. So this is going to be like live for you and for us on what the other has picked to make it a bit more exciting. So yeah, so that was Ironwood. Then we had Eat the Reich, which was an RPG we played. We've actually done 2 campaigns of it, although the campaigns are 2 to 3 sessions. And you're vampires who are airdropped into Nazi Paris to kill Hitler. It's just a really fun, silly RPG. It's got some great characters. It's got a really great system that creates like a lot of laughter.
Yeah.
It's like more gamey kind of because you're allocating successes in certain ways. So it feels very board game-esque. And just to note, actually, both Ironwood and this were provided a review copy by the publisher. So I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of laughter from it. I think it also has a limited appeal, though. I wouldn't want to go back to it because it does get a bit repetitive. But I enjoyed like the initial experience. Then probably the one that just missed.
Well, okay, we didn't actually discuss how many honourable mentions we were allowed. Usually you try and cut me down on my honourable mentions, but you've got more than me. Okay, go on.
Well, it's because these were just the ones that were like left that could have made it into number 10. All right, so then this is the one that definitely just missed number 10 and got pushed out, was Star Wars Unlimited. And that is the kind of collectible trading card game that came out this year. Also, our stuff from this we got for review copies. And I just really enjoyed building the deck, the card system, the kind of combat system. It was just a really fun 2-player game that I really enjoyed this year.
Yeah, just thinking whether we'll like get much overlap this time. I feel like our lists might end up being quite different this year for some reason.
Right, is that because all of my honorable mentions are on your list?
Definitely not. Definitely not. That's another spoiler.
Well, Star Wars Unlimited isn't your number 1 game of the year?
Let's see. Okay, is that it, or you have more honourable mentions?
I think I actually had a 4th one, but I can't remember it, so it can't be that important.
Yeah, okay, so I'll do mine. So my first one is Stamp Swap, published by
I'm actually surprised
Games.
this isn't like number 10 or something.
I have to say, it was in the list until that's what I was fiddling around with just before we started filming, and I actually pulled it out.
Oh, of course, Stamp Swap.
No, don't. No, I feel bad.
It's staring at you.
You've made me feel bad.
There's like actually a sad hippo on the side and it's staring at you.
Oh, I do really love that game. Ugh, no, maybe I've made a mistake.
Too late.
It is too late now. So yeah, it's just a cute little. You're basically collecting stamps. It's about putting them on in your stamp collection in the right way. You score points for a few different things, like putting them kind of in certain ways, collecting certain colors of stamps, collecting patterns on the stamps, like set collection. But it's got quite a cool drafting mechanism where you can pick both stamps, but also kind of like bonus cards and power cards and some other little bits from the middle. And then you pick selection, and then you divide it into 2 groups, and then your opponents actually take 1 group from you. So I think that element is very unique and novel in a way, because you could maybe put only 1 item versus 4, I think, right, in one group if you want, but that 1 item could be very powerful. Maybe you know that someone else really wants it, and then you get to keep the other 4, or you can split 3 and 2. Some of it's face down as well, so you have to really balance what's face up and face down and what you think your opponents might take from you, in the hope that you get to keep kind of what you need to keep. So it's about putting those groups in the right way, whilst also, filling objectives and goals that you need to do yourself. So plays in, 30 to 45 minutes. Just a nice, for me, Sunday with a cup of tea type of game. Very cute, very wholesome. And then my other honourable mention.
You have more than one.
Now I'm actually thinking whether I just want to ad hoc add some more, since you went so
you can get into the real list.
My other one is Cascadero, which
I had to think which one that was.
The main game.
And also we should note that both Cascadero and Stamp Swap were provided by the publisher for review.
Yeah, so there's also Cascadito, which goes along with Cascadero, which is the kind of small box roll and write version.
Yeah.
But I'm picking the main game.
That's fair. That's quite a good game.
Yeah, so this is basically about creating chains of your troops. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Like creating chains. You score points for how they connect up to the cities. If you're the second one that reaches it, then you actually get more points. So you want to hold back there. But the faster you go up certain tracks, because the cities all have different colours, you'll get some bonuses. So it's just a game that we love, where we say there's very, very few components and actually very, very few rules. But you can end up sat there being like, We always say The King is Dead is a perfect example, where it's just a map and some cubes on the face of it, very simple. But then you're sat there, what can I do here? And we have like a nice, like new, like printed, like reprint version. So the Cascadero.
Oh, it's not a reprint, it's a brand new game.
It's brand new? Oh, yeah, okay. So
brand new Reiner Knizia game.
Oh, I thought it was a reprint of like a classic old one. Okay. Anyway.
Actually, that is my other honourable mention, which I won't talk about, but it's Through the Desert.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a classic. That was also an honourable mention. I won't say any more about it.
I just really like the aesthetic of Cascadero. I like games that look nice
I really enjoyed it. It didn't, spoiler, it didn't come in my top 10, but it was a very good game. It was probably like 15, 16 of this year.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those games that you can play with a lot of different people, because you can just do stuff and something will happen in a way.
Yeah.
But obviously to win maybe is like the more thinking complexity part. But I think, I had a lot of fun stress with that game this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, I think let's go to our number 10s. My number 10 is probably not going to surprise anyone who is a fan of the channel that it's on this list for this year, and that is Undaunted 2200 Callisto. And the main reason this is, you could say, so low, it's almost trash at this point, is because we've just played...
Compared to the other Undaunteds that we've always ranked very high.
Well, it's more that we've just played so much Undaunted that the novelty... I think it's hanging in there because it's innovated a little bit, and also Undaunted is an incredible system that we love. So this was originally a World War II deck building game, and that we're very fond of as a channel. And this, they turned into a sci-fi setting. I really like the setting of kind of a capitalist corporation versus like undertrodden miners fighting for their rights, you could say. And they did some innovations where they kind of factor in elevation now, and you roll different dice depending if you're kind of shooting up at someone or shooting down at someone the same level. They changed it from hex-based to map-based. I think that was a big improvement. I think it allowed for interesting scenarios. And it also had some of my favorite scenarios in the entire Undaunted series out of all the games. So really, really enjoyed it. And that was also given to us for review by the publisher. So yeah, number 10.
Yes. Maybe I'll do some light spoilers. I actually didn't put it on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I think for me, the theme is maybe what drags it down because, like we keep saying, we love Undaunted system and there's nothing wrong with the system here. I think, like you said, the different mechanisms are also fun, but I'm just not such a fan of like sci-fi theme. I'd rather something historical.
It's interesting to me that it's not on your list.
Yeah. Anyway, my number 10 is the Imperium series.
I'm surprised it's so high. No, sorry, so low.
You're surprised it's so low?
Yeah, I thought it'd be higher.
Yeah, I think it took a little while. It was very much a slow burner for me. It's, how do you describe it? Like civilization deck building, tableau building game, which is very cool because it has a lot of content and we have, 3 versions of it, Horizons.
Yeah, the Imperium Legends, Imperium Classics and Imperium Horizons.
Which all have like different civilizations that you can play
all
as.
Provided by the publisher for review. We have a buyer's guide comparing, contrasting all the different ones.
Yes, I just think I really like it and I do like to sit there, build up my civilization. I think it's interesting to do that and so much content, all those different civilizations. So every game slightly different because what you're trying to do is different. The mechanisms that are available to you are different, built around like a core system. I just think when we've talked about it before, we often say that one of us will go off and do chores whilst the other one's taking
the
their
downtime
turn.
is real.
It's very solitary.
Yeah, it's the most solitary game I think I've ever played.
With potentially long turns as well. Sometimes solitary games, you're doing things simultaneously or the turns are snappy, but this is quite a long game. It can take multiple hours. So
for two players.
Yeah, maybe it's just a little bit, saying it's flat is not, how I feel about it because it's in my top 10 games of 2024 and we play a lot of games.
Yeah.
Do you know how many new games in total we played?
40, 50 something.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't, not off the top of my head.
But I couldn't put it higher than 10 for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So I think with that, we can go to number 9. Moving to number 9. Mine is a game from almost 2023. And I'm counting it because we received it after our top games of 2023 video.
Okay.
Right at the end of the year, like just before New Year's.
Okay.
And that is...
I'll allow it.
Wormspan. So Wormspan is my number 9. This is the new re-implementation of Wingspan with worms or dragons, if you've never seen the art. And it's, I think, a more technically challenging version of Wingspan. I think it's one that's more for heavier gamers. I think it's a little bit meaner to try and like manipulate around the systems. And I just really enjoyed it. We played it quite a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Just for fun, really, actually, mainly at the beginning of the year. And I think we played it a little bit throughout, but we did play it actually a lot just for fun in the early stages of the year.
I mean, outside of like reviewing it?
Yeah. We didn't need to play it nearly as much as we did to review it, basically. I just really enjoyed it. I mean, like, Wingspan is a brilliant game. It's one of our most played games. It's worldwide popular. And I think this one is just like a little bit more for me. I just really liked what it was doing. The theme I can take or leave, right? Birds, dragons, whatever. But mechanically, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And this was also provided by the publisher for review, which is how we had it so early, because we got it like before it was announced.
Yeah. And I think we introduced it to some friends as well, and
Yeah.
they enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Mindspace. So
Not surprised.
yeah, this is a little roll and write. It's about you're colouring in the brain, basically, and the objectives are kind of about the brain needs like relationships or creative side, and it's about the dice. They have shapes on them. Oh, cards, sorry, have shapes on them.
Tetris shapes, yeah.
Then there's also, some like coloured dice, right? And yeah, it's like Tetris in a way, because you have to colour in areas of the brain with different colours, which then score you different points according to the kind of colour.
Yeah.
But the colours can't go next to each other, and you have an objective to try and fill in as much as possible, because you get punished at the end for leaving blank spaces in your brain, basically.
Yeah.
And I just find it very soothing to play. I think it's a really nice little roll and write. The colouring aspect is maybe what's quite soothing about it. Putting the shapes together is something that we've taken a lot on holiday, so maybe that also contributes to the kind of like nice feeling. It's a very small box, very easy to play in a cafe or a pub, for example.
I think it had like a great first impression on us, because we played it on holiday in like a really nice, it was like a library cafe.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of books everywhere, like fancy, like mugs.
Yeah.
Like we had like a little croissant or something, and it was like a really nice experience.
Yeah, nice wholesome experience.
And then, like you say, it's not on my list, but I really, really enjoy it as a roll and write. It would be my top 5 roll and writes probably. I think it's really soothing, the act of like filling in these slots in your brain.
Yeah.
And it's a really good puzzle of like manipulating the pieces and where to put them, the different scoring conditions.
Yeah, exactly. Not too much more to say on that. It's a small game, and I guess it's kind of further down the list just because it is a smaller game, and I have a lot of fun with it. So if I was purely ranking on fun, it might be a little bit higher, but it just, somehow feels wrong in a way to put a very light game.
I get that.
Further to the top. So that's why
especially on this channel.
Yes.
So those were our number 9s. My number 8 is a game that a bit like Wormspan that I just said about, we played it a lot when we got it. Actually, we bought this one ourselves. We didn't have to review it, but we did because we wanted to talk about it. And we played it a lot in a short time, and then we haven't got it out in a long time. I really wanted to replay it before this video. We just didn't get the chance. But that game is Harrow County. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit of a weird one. It's really a 2-player game, but you can kind of play with 3, but really only if everyone knows how to play. We said a bit about this in our review. Mainly it's a 2-player game by the people behind Mind Management, which was very popular, obviously, when it came out. And this one is kind of like a bit of a like area control, somewhat asymmetric, like head-to-head on a map type game, where each player has a different objective. And there's kind of like levels of gameplay. So you can make it more complex. And I think we found when you've added everything in, it was a really rich, fulfilling 2-player experience. I think we really enjoyed it. And what's interesting actually is we've played it so much, like 9 plays or something. I don't think we've ever been the other side. Because me and you both took one faction and we never tried the other one.
Okay, yeah. Got a bit set in the ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think every time I said, you said, no, I don't want to change.
Don't like change.
Don't like change. So I just think it's really like, an interesting way that both factions have different ways that they they play like your faction had like a bag building element where you draw from a bag. And so there's a lot of like, I think, flavor, a lot of vibe to it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good 2-player game, which we love. And it just really made an impression on me because didn't expect anything when we played it. I don't think it's been that popular generally. So I don't think, I think it was mixed. I think a lot of people complained about the way the rulebook set out, the fact that it does do that thing that is quite annoying where the rules are littered across like 3 scenarios because they go up and up and up rather than being comprehensive. But because we did play in order, at the time, we didn't have any issue with it.
Yeah, I really like it. Again, another spoiler that is not on my list.
Wow.
I do think it's really, really good and definitely like deserves to be on yours. It's very novel and unique in a way. Exactly all the things you said. I think for me, I would just never say, oh, let's play Harrow County. I would be happy to play it if you suggested it.
Good thing I'm here.
Exactly. I think there's something about it which, because it is that head-to-head tug of war, and it's not that I'm against that, but I find it almost pre-stressful. To get it out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be stressful. It makes me feel
I know you
makes
mean.
me feel a bit anxious, a bit strong, but then I have a great time playing it once I'm in it. But it deserves to be there. It's a really brilliant game.
This is probably the game on the list I want to get out again the most, just because we haven't played it in so long.
Yeah, that's fine by me. My number 8 is Just One.
Wow. This is what we call a late entry, people.
Yeah, that is a late entry. We've had it for 2 weeks.
Hold on. So it's number 8. So you're saying it's better than So Clover, which only made it number 10 last year? Or is this your worst year?
Maybe it's so fresh in my mind.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Like we just had a bunch of fun with it 2 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean?
So what you're saying is
the memory of So Clover was like over a longer period.
So what you're saying is it was a terrific birthday present?
Yes, I will admit it was a great birthday present from you. Thank you.
Score.
So it is a cooperative word game. You're referencing So Clover because it's very similar. So you pick a card, and it has a choice of 5 words on it, and you as the like active player doesn't get to see it, but you get to pick a number and it's in front. And then your teammates have to write a word that will make you guess your word that you picked, but you have no idea what's on the card, so it really could be anything. But the trick is they have to find a clue that's relatively unique because you will close your eyes, they will show each other the clues, and if there's any duplicates, that clue comes out. So then obviously you as the active player has much less to work on. Then it could be anything. So yeah, you got it for me, and we played it a lot with my family when we went on holiday to Estonia. And I mean, these sorts of games, they're just a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's a sort of game where you end the game and like, okay, go again. And I think this one is particularly fun. And I just, there's a lot of kind of similar games which are word games, but I think this one is very interesting because it forces you to like come up with a word which you don't even know. So code names, all the words are there and you're picking it. So Clover, you have things to work with. Whereas in this one, you have to pick a word based on only, 3 or 4 clues.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, can be quite challenging. So I think maybe it's a little bit more challenging in a way sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's really fun, I think, as the clue givers to try and think of a clue that you think no one else will give. So I think both parts of being the active player and the clue givers is equally fun.
I do.
As well.
I think you're right. That actually has like an edge where I think they are equally fun.
Yeah.
And also it's kind of so quick that it moves quite quickly. So I do agree there.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed this, but what I enjoy most about it is one of those games like your So Clover, like your code names. When you show it to people, they get excited and they want to play it again. Your family was like, oh, let's play again. Let's play when we get in, and it's nice to, I guess like present a game to people and they want to behave like that and participate and be excited about it, particularly if they're not hobbyist gamers.
Agree. Yeah, it's a game that I think I'd quite like to take it to work or something and show people it, and I think people would find it really fun. So, yeah, very good birthday present.
Thank you. My number 7 is actually a bit like what I said about Wormspan. It's a game we got right at the very, very end of last year. So around New Year's, kind of mostly played it around there, and then a bit in January, February, early in the year. And this was a game that you could say changed our opinion on another game. It made us kind of fall in love with the system, you could say, even more. We found a group who we played it with and had a lot of fun. And this game is Dune Uprising. And yeah, so we basically only really got it to, you could say, do a buyer's guide for, because we like Dune Imperium like enough. We weren't wowed by it particularly. Yeah. You know, I'm like, it should have been the top 20 on BGG. No, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we played Dune Uprising, and I think we just, I don't know, something really clicked when we got it out and we're playing it. Maybe it's the fact that I do think Dune Uprising is a better game. We just really got into it, and then we managed to play it with some friends and have like those really intense, sweaty 4-player games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed the plays, you know. I enjoyed the meanness of it, the tactics, the deck building mixed with the work placement. It's a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed the tension and the interactivity. And I just felt like I was getting more out of it when we went to play. And I also really like the expansions. I like having everything in together. I think it makes it a really terrific experience with a lot of different options. Dune Uprising, my number 7.
Yeah, nice pick. My number 7 is Wormspan. So won't talk too much about the game itself since you already talked about it, but yeah, really enjoyed it. For me, it's one of those games that strikes a nice balance between working on your own thing. You're excavating your caves, attracting your dragons, but there's a nice bit of interactivity in the track in the middle because you want to see how other people are like in front of you, or there's when you go past a certain point in the central track, somebody gets to take like a bonus in the middle, so you're always kind of keeping a bit of an eye on that and what cards are kind of in the marketplace. So for me, I like having the control of my own space, but you're still kind of engaged in a nice way with what the other people are doing, just because there is that like 10, 20%, if that, like interactivity. But it's not that anyone can do something to annoy you apart from maybe like take a card that you need, but it's more just to keep an eye. So I feel like when we're going around, even in a 4-player game, it's not like Wingspan where I just like don't care what the other people are doing so much.
Yeah.
I'm still, more engaged, I think. So really enjoyed it. The artwork on it is I really like that. It's very cute. So that's also a big plus from me, all the kind of components and the cards and everything. Just a nice game.
That's interesting. I'm not sure I feel the same about the interactivity, although I think your point is right that there is more. It's just not something I've ever considered, I think, actually, in my enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
I think the technically is more difficult, I would say, to get your engine going.
No, I agree with everything you said. I was just adding.
No, it's just interesting that I've not thought of it.
Yeah, I just don't remember when we were playing with the 4 people being sort of like edgy to get my turn or like bored in between in a way. Maybe that's just because we were like talking over the table as well. But yeah, I just think that edges it a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to number 6. We just had a semi-crossover with your Wormspan, and now we're going to have another semi-crossover. And my number 6 is the Imperium series.
Yeah, okay.
Which is why I didn't say too much about it when you spoke about it. So this, It's a deck building game where you play as civilizations, and I think the smaller boxes have like 8 civilizations, and the bigger box has like 14. Some fictional, some based in history, some based in myth, which you kind of touched upon, that you play in different ways depending on what civilization you are. And it's a really fun deck building puzzle. Each one plays different ways. Civilization plays different ways, like you said. And it's fun to play with each one to figure out how they work. There's a lot of novelty, a lot of replayability. It's a very intensive game. There's a lot of thought about how to play your cards, because you want to set yourself up, but you also want to cycle through very quickly to unlock better cards. It's always interesting how they change the design from Civilization.
Yep.
It's just, I think, I kind of said in our review, it is a designer showcase, to play around with the system and adapt it. And I just find that really interesting as someone who enjoys board games. But like you said, I think it's so low that we literally were doing chores while it was the other player's turn, because there's nothing, it takes so long, there's nothing to gain from it, right?
Yeah.
Like sitting at the table. So it's funny because this goes up to 4 players, and I couldn't think of anything worse than playing this with someone I'd invited to my house.
Yeah.
But a terrific series, and we've played a lot of it this year. We've played all the different games, like we said, and I really recommend it to people who are interested in a kind of more heavy, intensive deck building game. Just don't play with a lot of friends.
My number 6 is, you alluded to at the beginning, some of these games are not necessarily all new. It's Grand Austria Hotel.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's so low.
You keep saying that with all of
I'm
mine.
really interested. Well, I know what I bet I can name, we're probably going to have the same top 3, I think.
I think so, yeah.
But the back end is going to be different, because this isn't on mine. But I'm going to swap it out for one.
I can guess what that is.
So go on then, you go.
If you've watched a video that we made about Grand Austria Hotel and another game, maybe you can guess the one that Farrell's going to say. This is an old classic Euro game about serving guests in a hotel. So you have to kind of collect guests and meet their needs, make their rooms ready. And it's all kind of through the guests are cards. You have little cubes that represent apple strudel and serving them coffee. It's a Euro. You get a lot of points for things. You go up some tracks. Just had a lot of fun with this. I think I've struggled to really pinpoint or put my finger on why. I mean, I tend to lean towards liking Euros anyway. I really like the theme. Everyone kept suggesting it to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Grand Budapest Hotel film. It's not really related, I guess.
It can be in your mind.
Exactly. That's what I like to think about. I just like it. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. Maybe it's just old classic games. Sometimes they can be the best. Just like the actions on the cards, just like the way that it all works, having to think in your mind about that you need to serve 2 glasses of red wine to this guest, and he also wants a strudel, and just managing your resources that you have as well. I just like it, right? I don't know what else more to say.
It's really good. So it's not on my list, and that's not really a slight on the game. I kind of almost, like I said, I have one in its place a bit later. I think it's really solid Euro. I really enjoyed it. I think it's just you kind of got more out of it than me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those classic things where I think I would never say no to playing it, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest it, but you would. So then it's
100%.
I really enjoyed it, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so let's go into the top 5.
Ooh.
Welcome to number 5, where things are heating up.
Da, da, da.
So I have a number 5, and it is very close to my heart. I think it's a very underappreciated game because I never really heard anything about it before I got it. Haven't heard anything about since. Even we haven't put out a review of it. although I would like to. And my number 5 is Carson City. This is a kind of so I have the reprint that came out this year from Quinna Games, and they were behind Carnegie, which was on our top 10 list, I think 2 years ago. A nice heavy Euro. It was terrific. And so I kind of got this because it's the same publisher, same designer. And I'm like, well, what can go wrong? And I absolutely love Carson City. It's an Old West style game. It's a Euro, but it's like a Euro like slapped together with an Ameritrash game. And you kind of, you're in the Old West, and there's just a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot of actions. There's a lot of ways you can go about things. What you're kind of trying to do is get property on the map. You kind of have to buy like spaces on the map, and then you have to buy properties to put on those spaces. But anyone can kind of take anything, and like usually only one person will ever get an action space, but there can be up to 6 players in the game. And then what happens is you duel over the action space. So you have like, so you collect gun tokens, and then you have duels, and there's like a lot of silliness, but also a lot of Euro elements. There's a lot of variance because it's like the big box version. I think the components are brilliant. I think the theme is brilliant. I love the silliness. I love the duels. I love the Euro elements of kind of building and increasing your economy and trying to combo together different buildings. There's just so much in that box. It's a Euro that really excites me, that I really want to play, that I've enjoyed every play of. And I think more people should play Carson City. I just think it's like something very unique to me in what it is and what it does, and it hits all the right notes.
Yeah, I agree. It is not in my top 5 or my total list.
It's not in your top 10.
When I was looking at all of the lists, I kept drawing back to it, and I was like, it in a way, like, definitely deserves to be there. But again,
I'm sad now.
I'm more sad about the sad hippo than sad for you, to be honest. I think for me, I have a quibble about one of the variants.
Oh God, not the horses again.
Yeah, the little horse thing, which is a variant where you like do something with horses. Just puts a bad taste in my mouth. But yeah, I'm a bit sad because it does deserve to be there. Exactly like you say, I can't think of another game that is like it. Is very unique, quite chaotic at times, and it is a lot of fun. But again, there's something about that maybe it stresses me out a little bit. I'm not very good at it, which is fine. Great Western Trail, one of my favourite games. I think it is my favourite game of all time. I think in the last one we did. I mean, I barely win that. I've won it once or twice in the 50 times we've played or something like this.
Not quite that many, but yeah.
Exactly. And I just love playing it. I love it for the thrill of playing it. But yeah, Carson City. It is really good. It is really good.
Yeah.
I think I'm just being a sore loser on that one, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we have a massive debate because there's a variant, which is like the horses variant, where you kind of get horses and they let you do, you could say, additional actions. Or get like money, or like they let you do little things on the side that can really like help round out what you're doing in the game. But if you like put them in the highest value slots, you get a token and it increases like the value of horses at the end of the game. So if someone continuously wins and continuously buys horses, they can like front load a lot of points. I think you have a real quibble with it, whereas I think it's like almost essential to the gameplay.
Yeah.
You hate it.
Yeah.
So then we have to fight about whether we keep it in or not.
Yeah, I just find it one step too far and all the things you have to think about, I think. And you always really leaning into it and you're like, just get a horse. But to me, it's not that easy. You have to then sacrifice doing something else to get a horse.
But the horses let you do more things in the future.
at the expense of something else. It's just, I don't know, I just find it pulling me in one direction too many than I'm like comfortable with, I think.
And then you get annoyed because I do it and get like a bazillion horse
yeah,
points.
but then I tried to do it your way. That didn't work either. I just lost. You're like, you shouldn't have got so many horses. I just, no, getting annoyed thinking about it.
All right,
But,
you're number 5.
Yeah, anyway.
You're number 5.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about it in all the horse chat. My number 5 is, I think you might be surprised, maybe Ironwood.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you did say, I was surprised when we reviewed this. And you said, I think in your final thoughts, that it was like maybe your favorite type of this game.
Yeah.
And that surprised me. So I'm not necessarily like so surprised that it's number 5.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Like you said, 2-player head-to-head game. You do your actions with cards, but you can only do 2 actions. Asymmetrical. You have to do different things based on whether you're the wood people,
Wood people.
woodwalkers, forest people,
Woodwalkers. Or the
ironclad.
Yeah.
It's, as any of those type of games are, head-to-head, card-driven. It is quite tense and stressful, but I think it's a real testament that it's always come very close to who's won. And I just find it maybe more interesting than other games of that type. I think the cards really do a lot. They're so interesting. They are so, some of them can like just completely turn it around for you in a certain situation, but all the other ones are still good. The way that the combat works, where all the cards have a combat value or an action, so you have to decide whether you want to kind of keep it in case there's a combat, or do you want to use the action. And often the ones with a high combat are the ones with a really powerful action. So it's really, really, every time you have to play a card, it's always very, very tough to decide if you want to hold it back for combat in the future. Do you want to use the action? I love formulating the plan, even though you don't know what cards are going to come out. But obviously the more you play, you know what might come out. And then you can hold stuff back and be like, okay, I'm just going to move that. It's almost like chess.
Yeah.
You put that piece into place, you put that piece into place, and you can be like, bam, got you, because I've played that card. Not always that easy. You can scupper the plans, but I think that's the fun of it. You can pivot, and I just think all of the actions are very interesting. And even down to the kind of the way it looks and the components, yeah, I would say it is my favourite at the moment, head-to-head 2-player game.
I think that's fair. Yeah, like you said, I think what makes all of what you just said more tense is that you only play 3 cards per round. And the dogs are going crazy off camera. So you only play 3 cards per round. And it's like if somebody, like you can have your plan ready to like kind of do a big strike. And then if somebody just does something and you're like, oh, I need to deal with this now. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't do that exactly how I wanted to. And
Yeah.
It's very tense and fun.
Yeah, I think the fun is almost in the how you're going to get out of it and how you're going to pivot it. And you can make a big comeback, and yeah, big fan.
Let's go then to number 4. My number 4 will be no surprise to Tally. You knew it was coming. It is sustenance farming.
Oh.
Agricola.
I was like, hang on, what game have we played called Sustenance Farming?
So Agricola is a fairly old game that we discovered this year, basically around the same time as Grand Austria Hotel.
Yeah.
And while Tally went for Grand Austria Hotel, I went for Agricola.
We did like a playoff of like old Euros, basically,
exactly.
that we just discovered this year.
And Agricola, I think it was in my top 20 games of all time as well that we did this year. Agricola was just a revelation for me. It does like so much that even though it's really old, like a lot of it feels new. A lot of what it does, not a lot of other games, at least modern games, are really like doing. It's a very mean, very brutal worker placement game. You're trying to kind of build a farmstead and you're kind of trying to maximize out everything, because anything you haven't maximized, you, well, not necessarily lose points for, but if you neglect anything, you will lose points. Mm-hmm. I just think it's got a really dry theme, which we love. It's a very boring theme that elevates it for us. We love the meanness and the brutality because resources like accumulate. So usually when a space opens up, it's not really worth going there because you have limited actions, you have very few workers. And so you need to let it accumulate, but it's this risk of you need to go there before someone else does, because if they go there, then you have to wait again and you might have to change your plans completely. So it's very mean. And I just liked everything about it.
Yeah,
I
you
liked
love it, don't you?
the sustenance farming. I like the meeples. You get all your animeeples, you get your pumpkins, you get your baby. I
That's what you said. You really like the card element.
Yeah, so
as well.
you also get a hand of cards at the start. Well, like kind of two, I can't remember. You get like workers and you get, I don't know, tools or something. I can't remember the names now. That you can play, and they kind of, they give you edges in the game. And there's all like expansion decks with different sets of cards. So there's a lot of replayability, and I think this is where we differ, because I feel like what cards you play and get out in your like beginning hand and how you work, that really changes the shape of each game to me, because it makes it like somewhat asymmetric because of the powers you have, whereas you find them a bit repetitive, you could say.
Yeah, I find them a bit samey. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's do this and get a sheep, or do this and get a cow to me. Like, don't get me wrong, I really love this game as well. You're just very, very enamored with it.
So, So Agricola, my number 4 of this year, 20 years on or something.
Okay, my number 4 is, I don't think it's going to be the last time that we're seeing this on this video.
Don't ruin it.
Dead Cells.
Maybe.
So this is something we got in the last, I think, 2-3 months, something like that, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
It's
September,
a
October.
cooperative game. It's based on, maybe you should talk about it. You know more about like the video game part of it than me. It's basically a board game implementation of Dead Cells, the video game, which is a roguelite game. So
You're hitting all the buzzwords.
Exactly. So you do runs, basically, play as different characters who have different powers. You kind of move along a scenario or location, biome, hitting maybe some treasure, mostly fighting enemies, basically, so that you can get to the end. It's kind of expected that you will not make it to the end in the beginning, because it's all about kind of going through it and doing run after run, because you go through and you collect these dead cells, which then give you better powers, better upgrades, so that you have more chance of getting to the end of that biome. And then it's kind of leveled out until you, there's different levels until you hit the main boss, basically. So yeah, we are not cooperative people at all. There's been the odd game which does end up in these lists for us. So for example, a couple of years ago for you, it was like Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah.
But typically, yeah, we much prefer competitive games because we're savages.
Yep.
But I think this has got to be the co-op game that's been highest on any of my lists ever. And I just think it's very fun. I don't know if it's the nature of how you keep going on the runs and optimizing. There's something that gives you some kind of dopamine hit about that when you finally do it. And in a way, when you describe it, it maybe sounds like it's very repetitive, that you just like keep doing the same.
But that is what a roguelike is, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that, because, I mean, there's some slight variability in like what might come out and the way that you can fight the enemies. But I think often why I don't enjoy co-op games so much is like the quarterbacking element. But I feel like you have enough control over what your character does and what cards you have in your hand. Because there's this element where you either play like 1 or 2 cards, depending on who's the kind of lead player, which is switching all the time as well. So that's really nice. But you don't know what cards I have. All I can say is I could loot in turn 1 and I can attack in turn 3. But that's kind of all sort of allowed to say. So it really, I think, avoids quarterbacking very well. And I felt like I was very engaged and I had a lot of like autonomy in the way that I can kind of work with my hand. So that's why I liked it.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything else for no reason whatsoever. So
moving on to number 3s then.
yeah, so I think this list's going to get real boring real fast because I think we're going to have all the same games in some sort of different order.
The last 3 are probably
Yeah.
going to go very quickly.
I know exactly what yours are going to be, for sure.
Maybe I'll surprise you.
Maybe, but you won't.
Okay.
Okay, number 3 then. Okay, so my number 3 is probably going to be the game that is number 1 on most people's lists this year. And that game, of course, is Arcs
Okay.
by Cole Worley.
I'm a little bit shook if that's so low.
So
even
low.
though it's number 3. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the thing for Arcs is that actually, for me at least, it never competed for like number 1 or number 2. Well, number 1, I think. It just, for me, it just wasn't that type of game. I didn't necessarily think, oh, this is a game of year, like when I played it in June or July or whenever we got it. I think it's a brilliant game. I think there are so many interesting things about it. We've played it a fair amount this year.
Yep.
We've definitely got like 10 plus games in or something like that. Played it with a variety of player counts, 2, 3, 4,
campaigns.
multiple campaigns, and actually, it's also, I think, I kind of kept, you could say, almost the expansion out of it, just like the base game as well. But yeah, so this is the kind of hot game from Cole Worley is kind of using a trick-taking type system to dispense your actions. There's a lot of arguments about people who like it and people who don't, if like you're stuck with the cards or not. I'm in the camp that the game is like working with the cards you have. I've seen people have ridiculous turnarounds from different situations. But it's, I think, a very interesting game, and I definitely think it's in some ways the most like innovative game, which is not surprising for Cole Worley of the year. There's just something for me that maybe it's because of how like kind of brutal it is, and you want the right group, and just the fact that he's done so many great games at this point. I think there are just other games of his I prefer, like John Company, maybe Root, that makes Arcs just be a little lower for me. But who knows? I mean, we're going to keep playing it. I think it's an absolutely brilliant game. And I think it's only by the strength of the next 2 games that's been pushed to number 3. I think it'll be more apparent when I'm talking about those, what I've gone for.
You know what? Maybe our top 3 actually isn't so similar.
Oh, really?
This is going to be very interesting, actually. I'm very intrigued. All right. I'll say my number 3 then. It's Pampero. So this is, again, a
How can it be Pampero? You already had it in a top 10 list like 3 years ago.
Yeah, true, yeah. I mean, it was because we had the prototype copy and now we've got our final copy. So that is quite a good testament, actually, that it still like holds up, and if not, even better. So
we should just say that we were provided our copy of Pampero by the publisher, but we didn't get provided for review. We got provided it because we did a preview of a prototype like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's no obligation to do anything with the
final version.
Yeah. We just got sent it as payment, you could say.
Yes, and it's a dry energy production Euro about the Pampero winds in Uruguay. So basically building wind farms and energy pylons to supply energy.
Brilliant.
It is almost a little bit like Vital Lacerda, like I think, in the way that it looks and feels as well, like the chunky components and the way that the cards, like the symbology and the artwork.
I think it's worth saying that it was designed by one of his longtime collaborators who helps him, I think, a lot with the solo elements of his games, which is definitely why like a lot of the elements are similar looking.
Yes. So again, we talk about this a lot, but the kind of jewel of the game is the action selection system. So you have these little cards which have your actions on them, and then you have to play them to your player board in regions which correspond to the map. So there's A regions, B regions, and C regions. And it's more expensive to do actions in the C region, but then the rewards are bigger. But the little trick is that you kind of play them down, and then at the end of every round, you can actually only typically pick one back up. So you really have to consider in what order you're going to play these cards, depending on what one you might want back, but you might only be able to have enough money to play it in the cheapest region. Then it's likely that you can't get that one back. You can do a turn where you take them all up, of course, but it takes out a whole turn. So it's pretty tight game. You'll always be a little bit short of money. So yeah, tight, semi-brutal Euro game about energy. So just think, yeah, I would never turn down a game of Pampero. The whole package for me, like action selection system, dry Euro, tight, a bit mean. But it's not too mean, I think, in terms of like the player interaction either. Like something like Barrage, which we also love, which is very antagonistic. Yes, you can take spaces in Pampero that other people might want on the board in terms of where you build your wind farms, but it's not typically too much option. There's usually enough space. So it's not antagonistic brutal. It's just brutal about your own economy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so shall we go to number 2? And I mean, it's good to see that you had Pampero on your kind of top 10 with the prototype, and now it's very strong showing that the actual games come out.
Exactly.
But yeah, let's go to the final 2. My number 2 has already been mentioned, and I think it's very unlikely that we're going to have an actual crossover, like, because we did last year, but I don't believe it's going to happen. But anyway, my number... Huh?
Sorry, I see what you mean. Exactly the same position, yeah.
So my number 2 is Dead Cells, the board game. And this was... I bought it based on the fact that I absolutely love the Dead Cells video game. Just, take a chance on it, and it, as you kind of alluded to, blew us out of the water. Tally put it at number 4, I believe, right? And you had no idea what it was. You don't know what a roguelike is. You don't know what Dead Cells is. And that was like the strength of it from someone who had nothing going into it.
That's very true.
For me, I knew kind of, I guess maybe you could say, what I expected out of it, and it still blew me away. I think one thing to note before getting into all the positives is that I think the rulebook is a little bit like blur. There are some small like misprints, and FAQ was kind of needed to clear things up. So, it's kind of a common problem maybe with Kickstarters and things like that. It could be a bit better. But in terms of gameplay, as you kind of said, it perfectly encapsulates the addictiveness of a roguelite for me, because you're always getting rewards. And if you're not familiar with the video game, you're going on runs like Tally describes, and you collect these dead cells. And then at the end of your run, when you die or you beat a boss, you can spend them to different decks, and you get upgrades. You might get new cards. You might get things that you get like at the start of the game, like healing potions that you can then use on a run. And what I love is that there's so much content. So you could say the game ends when you beat the final boss, because the way it is you're supposed to kind of play 2 biomes and then a boss, and then that lets you start from a different biome, and then you play 2 biomes and then a new boss, and then you do that a 3rd time with the final boss. But there's a lot of different like routes and ways to go and biomes to get to those bosses. So I mean, there's like one biome, even though we've beat the final boss, we've never even seen, just because of the routes we've taken. I do wonder how much we'll want to go back to it now that we've beat that, but I definitely would like to do some of the challenges that we didn't do, maybe try it on the harder difficulty. It just blew me away. I think the combat system, absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
Just the way it works is so tactical. It's such a great kind of cooperative discussion without quarterbacking, like you said. The progression is incredibly fun, so fun to unlock stuff. And because kind of the enemies are like the deck shuffled and they come out differently, and they even have different types of the same enemy with different actions. It means that every combat is a different challenge. It doesn't get repetitive, even if you replay a biome.
If anything, it's just more addictive.
Yeah, because of the different ways things come out and the different way you have to consider what you need to do at what time. Dead Cells was absolutely incredible, and I mean, it was very close to being my favorite game of the year.
Yes, I am surprised that it's not. Cool. All right. So my number 2 is Arcs.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I know what your number 1 is.
Do you now?
Yes.
So, yeah, everything you said. I think for me, it's about the experience of playing it. So especially with the Blighted Reach campaign, we've just had some epic experiences, basically, you know, get some people around, have a brunch, play the 3 games in the campaign. I just think the drama of it is up there. Like, you can just go in, it's similar to what we said with another game, I can't remember now what it was, but you just should expect almost not to win. You try your hardest, but it's more about the twists and turns along the way, and the drama and the thrill. I think we said in our review, you can be on the bottom and thinking, I'm never going to get myself out of this hole. And then you can just turn it around somehow within a few turns. Yeah. So it is quite mean. It has like a limited economy in terms of the resources available, which is very, very tight. And a lot of what you score for is having the most of X type of resource. So once they're run out of supply, you're then trying to find ways of stealing it from other players, and that's through cards. And you just have to get a little bit kind of creative with how you go about achieving those objectives. Tough dilemmas, because you have to be the lead player in the kind of trick taking in order to kind of call for what objectives should be scored that round. But you have to be very careful about when you do it. Only certain cards let you do certain objectives. If you go too early, then and you're in the lead, other players are going to come after you and target you to get you to lose the advantage in that particular scoring objective. So very back and forth, quite mean, but I think it's an epic experience. And I just find a lot of satisfaction with figuring out how best to use your cards. You know that some of the turns are maybe suboptimal because the lead player can always do 3 or 4 actions sometimes. And if you're copying, you can only do 1. But you can almost sometimes use that to your advantage, let them use up all their cards, knowing that at the end you can come in and do loads of actions and have a better idea of the state of the board. And it's just, all about not mind games per se, but it's knowing when to pull the levers, basically. It's just fun.
It is. It's a brilliant game. It's a brilliant design. There's so many interesting elements. Like you kind of touched upon playing the cards, but if you want to declare, you have to declare something for scoring, but then it's open for everyone. But by declaring it, you basically have to make your card a 0 value, which means anyone can overtake you. Yeah. So you're giving all the other players a leg up, and you're making it almost certain that someone else will end up become
the lead
player who gets the most actions. So it's like a big sacrifice to put what you want in for scoring, and then somebody else can score better than you anyway. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting decisions at play, and it's a terrific design.
Yeah, and it can come down to, I've got 1 or 2 of a certain resource, you've got 1, you can easily take 1 from another player, and then we tie, and then so it's all this tactics about, okay, I know that I'm not going to win the objective, but I want to make you tie with me so that you get less points. And I think it's like a whole package of considerations, which together just makes a really brilliant design.
Yeah, so shall we go to the final number 1?
I have to say, I actually not sure I can't think, even though we've come down to the final one. I'm not sure I know what it is.
I know
so
exactly what yours is.
Okay.
So let's go to number 1. Here we are at the end of a long road of 2024. We've played a lot of games, but only 1 can be best, or 2 in this case. So mine, number 1 game of the year, is one that's already been said, by Tally. And it is Pampero.
That's your number one?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to... So the only reason I think Dead Cells was number one, and the thing about Dead Cells is just how much fun it was.
Yeah.
It was just such a pleasant experience every time we played. We played like 20 runs within, a couple of weeks. You enjoyed it, the cooperativeness. It was so much fun. But as I kind of said when I was talking about it, you could say there's a limited amount of playing, because once you unlock all the decks and you see all the biomes, so you can replay it, but obviously without that like end goal, it becomes a bit like, why am I playing
motivating.
this? Maybe, would pass it along to someone else. I don't know. I'd like to play it more now, but that's, I think, the limitedness of it is kind of why it was at number two. And that's just what stopped it. But with Pampero, I think it just has everything I love. It's a big, chunky Euro. It has lots of lovely pieces. It has lots of kind of heavy Euro elements. It's about energy production. That's like an instant number one.
Yeah.
I just think it's everything I love about board games and everything I love about my favorite board games. And I just really enjoyed finally getting this fulfilled. I loved getting it to the table. I love every play of it. I love the action selection system, which you went in, but something that I think you didn't mention that I really enjoyed is there's both kind of some Kickstarter bonus modules that came with it. And also I bought the mini expansion, I think Nature, I believe it's called. And all this together, it adds a lot of little modules, little things you can put in. So just like little objectives for you to do during the game, little twists, like new actions. And I absolutely loved exploring it. A lot like what I said about Carson City, with these modules, there's just so many options and ways to play it, and they're all really interesting. And I've loved discovering it. I love the action selection system. I love, the economy of generating money, of how you play your actions out, because the more cards you play, the cheaper it gets, but then the less cards you have to choose from. I just found it to be an absolutely brilliant Euro. My number one game of the year. I would play it like continuously, nonstop, especially with all the modules and the mini expansion, stuff like that.
I'm surprised, but like not surprised. I don't know. I mean, now you say it, of course, it wasn't on your list, and I expected it to be in your top 10, so it makes sense. But I didn't know that you loved it that much, actually.
I just think it's because it is like at the core, and I think it's about playability, because Arcs is surprisingly good at 2 players, but it's not something that we would necessarily get out so much just ourselves.
No.
Dead Cells is kind of limited, like I said, and I think that left Pampero, and those were all kind of, I think it's the one that we will always get out because you like it, because it's easy to play at 2 players. I think that's kind of what.
So you think it deserves to be there, maybe?
I mean, everything I said, I really love that game as a Euro.
Okay, go on then. Have a guess what my number one is.
Well, I don't need to guess. Tally's number one is a game that doesn't exist. It is Sweetlands.
I mean, it exists somewhere.
Yeah. So, well, I think we should say this goes in keeping. This is the same as Pampero when we previewed it, and Tally had it on a list and I didn't, because how
the tables have turned. It's your number one now.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just because it's a prototype, I don't put it on my list.
Yeah, it was on my list to choose from.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just different thought processes.
Yeah, this year.
But let me just say, before you go into Sweetlands, I would also, if it existed as a real game, I hadn't thought about it that hard because I knew it wouldn't go on my list, but it might be at number 1 or number 2. Like, I think it would easily be there.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of big, chunky, heavy Euros, that's exactly what Sweetlands is as well. It is about you're kind of living in a candy land and the king's about to die of overconsumption of sweets, basically.
It
and
happens.
you're, I guess, auditioning to become the ruler
I think
of
you're trying to prove yourself
Yeah.
that you could like run a city
Yeah. But lots
or a
of
kingdom.
like very nice chunky components, cream puff houses, cheese houses,
Brownie labs.
brownie labs. And it's about getting the chunky pieces out of the tracks, getting the bonuses, a lot of cascading bonuses and chains of actions, basically. So I guess in a way, it is somewhat similar to other games of that ilk, right? Your big chunky components, your Euro elements, your cascading actions. But I just never felt so addicted, I think. Every time we ended a game, I just wanted to play again and like just give it another go and keep optimizing even on my own score. So there's a lot of different cards. The deck is very big. And you basically, get bonuses from cards and you pay resources and blah, blah, blah. I just love it. I just love it. It was the prototype I've been most sad to send on.
I agree. Same for me, like ever.
Like absolutely gutted.
Pampero
to be
was,
honest. Very
it was
close
Pampero
second.
and now it's Sweetlands.
Yeah, I just think it's so... It's almost like deceptive in a way because it's cute Candyland, cream puff land, but actually quite tight. Again, the complexity comes from all the different cascading actions and remembering to do all of that and take the bonuses where it makes sense. Just a lot to think about, but very rewarding, I would say, because you can just lean in a lot of different directions. Go for the bunny rabbits. Cookie rabbits, track. There's a lot of different things that you can pull strings and play around with game to game. And I think that's part of what makes it just so addictive for me, is wanting to just have another crack, try different avenues to score points. And the characters all have kind of different bonuses or little powers as well.
Yeah, so I think one interesting thing about the action system is in a round you either, so there's like worker placement, except you spend cards. So you spend cards to go to worker placement spaces and take the action. Or each card has its own effect, which is like a unique action, but there's a cost for it. So if you can pay that cost, you can take the action on the card. And some of them, well, they kind of like hang around and they give you tags a la Terraforming Mars or something. And that can contribute to other stuff. But it's a really interesting decision as well. I mean, like I said, Sweetlands easily be my number one, number two. I think when we did the preview, we said in the video that, like, we kind of highlighted that, we were provided this and this is a preview, but we are dead serious about this game and how much we like it. It's not hyperbole. You can see from Tally having it as her number one.
I didn't have to put it on my number one game of the entire year.
Yeah.
But I truly, believe that it deserves to be there for me. And just based on how much fun I had playing it and how much I want to play it again as well, like the drive to keep playing is also a kind of big factor there. And I can't wait to get the final copy.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do. I know that there's some more stuff that's being added. I didn't really follow the campaign, but I know there's some more stuff's being added, and I hope that maybe, there's like a little bit more, and then it'll be a bit like Pampero, where you get it and there's even more stuff, and it's like more exciting because there's new stuff. But so I think that is a terrific number one pick, and I knew it'd be like number one or two for you. I just didn't know if you'd go all the way and put it at number one. Yeah? So that was our top 10 of 2024. I think had really a lot of fun with the games, particularly I think because sometimes you can really enjoy games, but they're not necessarily like fun. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like with the Imperium series, I would say. Yeah. It's very like enjoyable as a hobbyist gamer, but it's not like fun.
Not like buzzing for it.
No. Whereas I think like for me, Castle City and Arcs and Dead Cells, it was just like fun. Yeah.
Experiences.
Sweetlands, even though it's probably more towards the like mental aspect, I think there's just a lot of fun to be had this year. So for me, it was a really great year for board games. Yeah. Any final words?
No, agree. I guess just going back to what we said at the beginning, how I personally found it easy. We did have a lot of fun, but for me, there's also a lot of games where I'm happy to like leave them in the past now. So usually I have like a top 20 even, but this time I was very set on these were definitely my favorite, 12,
Yeah.
13, 14. And then it was just about ranking them in the other games. I don't think, well, there's one game which I really did not like this year.
Spectral.
Correct. Probably one of my worst ones, like, ever.
I really enjoy
Yeah,
Spectral.
you really love it. But all the games were great, but I just found it much easier this year to be like, yes, these are the ones for me.
Yeah. So that was our top 10. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this, if you were interested in any of these games, please subscribe and please ask us questions about the games. We're happy to answer. Please tell us what your number one game of the year was. We'd love to know. Have we missed one? Because there's plenty we haven't played.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, some of like the big Euros that have come out last quarter. But we had a lot of fun filming this, and hopefully it was interesting for you to watch. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Bye.